Fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJ Zacharyson and Danny Carter, Living the Stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Denny Carter the Sixth. Denny, you have decorations still behind you, but it's not Christmas anymore.
I do. I know some people are very strict about taking down decorations immediately after, but I say you wait till January 2nd. You get the most out of it, right?
Yeah, I will say, though, my wife and I, Amanda and I, are going to be taking down decorations on Thursday. That's our
Really?
Yeah,
Before the new year.
Yeah, we're doing it before the new year because we're going to be doing something for New Year's Eve, and we don't want to come back to the house and us have to then do that.
You know what? That is a nice little type A situation there, right? You're thinking ahead, you know, and you want to be kind to your future self. This is what the Zoomers.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself type A or type B?
Oh, I'm so type B. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a mix of both. There are some things where I'm definitely type B, but then there are things that I'm, like the wanting to get ahead with the decorations was mostly my plan, even though, like Amanda and I are both kind of a mix of the two, even though I feel like one person in your relationship typically would be the A and then one would be the B.
Yeah, Melissa is the A+++, and I am the B minus. And I like, for instance, I don't have a calendar, and I don't have any way of keeping track of my obligations.
Same. Hey,
no,
that's me also. Yes,
I don't believe that.
Oh no, my calendar is literally only like I don't do to-do lists. Wow. My calendar is only I just have like reminders for like, oh, this is the day that 15 transactions goes out and stuff like that. But I have and like Amanda has calendar invites that she sends me when we have like school events for the kids or anything like that. It's all on her. And I don't mean that to say like that's a woman's job. I mean it that she's very, very good at keeping things orderly within our household.
So I think that if the person is like okay with that role of doing like the scheduling and like keeping track of stuff, then that's cool. So Amanda's okay. So she's good. She's good with that.
She's good with it, but I think that they're also, I try to help with things when I can / when it's like top of mind for me too. And it's also the appreciation factor, right? Like, letting them know that you really appreciate that they're organizing the life of the family, right? The really obnoxious part about as you get older and you have kids and stuff like that, the obnoxious part is a lot of the family things just almost automatically go to the mother. Like without even thinking, like whether it's like a doctor's office calling a family member, whether it's the mom or dad with like, results or even just scheduling or what have you, it's always the mom. It's always the mom. School, it's always the mom. It always goes to the mom. And then it's almost, you just get in this rhythm of like, oh, that's just the way that it is. And then you have to literally like have a conversation, be like, we need this to sort of shift a little bit because it's getting out of hand. You have way too much on your plate now.
Brother, I have had that conversation. And I've actually had to talk to the school, to my kid's school, and say, I need you to put my number as the primary.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I need you to call me when they're sick or when they forgot their lunch or whatever it is. You need to call me. Stop calling my wife. Okay.
Yeah. It's like,
don't ever call her. And then, another thing is, my grandmother, okay, bless her heart. She's 92 years old. Okay. But she still calls Melissa. She doesn't call me, her grandson. Okay. She calls Melissa for every single family event. Well, what are we doing? Where are we going? What are we eating? What are we doing? What's the plan? And Melissa's like, why does she keep calling me? And I've said, grandma, this is not 1957. I'm actually planning this thing. I guess what? it's not just her. And also, I do the dishes sometimes. I'm sorry if that's a disappointment to you.
Yeah. I mean, look, Amanda does way more just in general. I mean, she's just a superhero. Like the things that she does for the family, like even how she planned for Christmas and the things that she thinks about, like to make events special for the kids and stuff like that. Like it's out of control how amazing she is.
Yeah,
and
it is, yeah.
But there are instances where like you just you're not even aware of something going on because you weren't contacted or like you weren't involved in that original planning aspect, and then you can't. But yeah, I mean, in our relationship, I'd be more of the B as well, but I still have some type A tendencies when it comes to like, I don't know, the scheduling of getting rid of, like, I don't like clutter that much. Do you like clutter? I'm just not a big clutter guy. Like if I have to, and neither is Amanda. It's like we're both very like needing a clean home, for instance. And so like Christmas morning, I know there's like a meme about this. I think there's a meme about this, but Christmas morning, when everyone's opening gifts, I'm just constantly gathering wrapping paper.
Are you?
Constantly. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. The whole time I just have the giant garbage bag, and I'm just throwing wrapping paper in that bag constantly.
Yeah, as soon as it hits the floor.
Immediately. I want a clean floor for my kids to open presents. And my God, Avery's at the age where she's 5 and she's just ripping things open as fast as she possibly can. Yeah. And there's the small pieces. The small pieces are the worst because you could unwrap a gift and just have one giant piece if you do it carefully. But
nope.
No, that's not happening with a 5-year-old.
No, there are pieces everywhere. It's funny because like yesterday, I was good with wrapping paper everywhere, and Melissa was like, "Can you go get a trash bag?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I probably should do that." You know what? That's a good call. I'm gonna go get a trash bag. So
yeah,
that sort of thing, which I'm sure doesn't drive Melissa crazy at all.
Yeah, that would honestly, like, that's too much for me too. I would probably get driven crazy by you if we were married.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to shout out real quick, long-time listener of the show, friend of the show, Eric Belair. Our boy Eric is getting married this weekend. He says he's doing the prep for the wedding. We just wanted to say congrats to our boy Eric.
Congrats to Eric. Hopefully you guys didn't suffer any sort of I didn't have any arguments or anything over the Christmas weekend with so much football going on.
So much
during the holiday. One of the most, I'm sure their ratings were fine. I'm sure the NFL is pleased with the result of how well they did financially, but thank God Christmas is on a Wednesday next year. It was out of control, and it's so much. I don't think people realize how difficult it is for fantasy. And I'm not trying, again, anytime I complain, it's not, I'm not really complaining. It's just, this is the downside of our job is the staggering of slate starts was so frustrating because you would get news items later after you'd already made decisions and you're making bad decisions, that it's just so frustrating to have this three-day stretch of games. It sucked.
There were so many slates of games this weekend. And this is not a joke. And I told my dad I would tell the folks about this because it's just too good not to. That my dad texts me during the Bills-Chargers game, okay? When the Chargers went up on the Bills, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching that game, and my dad texts me, KC is who we thought they were. And my dad's very bad at texting. But anyway, he texts me this. So I was actually getting ready for Christmas. I was doing some wrapping. I was doing this and that. So I didn't respond. And I just looked at it kind of sideways, and I was like, all right, Dad. I guess he meant maybe the Bills. The Bills are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook, that whole thing. And so I ignored it. So the next day, he tells me, he goes, I was watching a replay of the Patriots-Chiefs game as if it were live, and I thought it was live until the very end when I realized it was last week. And he was like, and I was into it. Because
is he talking about like the AFC Championship game type stuff?
No. Didn't the Chiefs play the Patriots recently?
Yeah, I don't even remember. But yeah, okay, I got you.
I think they played them last week.
Did they? I'm so
2 weeks
brain
ago.
fogged right now.
Anyway,
yeah.
So my dad tilted his face off about a game that had been over for a week while the
right. Okay, I completely forgot about that game. Yes. Okay.
While a live game was being played, and I said, "Wow, Dad. Well, you know what? The Living the Stream audience is going to know about this."
Wow. But yeah, I mean, it was rough, and I have to shout out that I had the most devastating week of my fantasy football life, Denny.
Man, it was, folks. Look, JJ can tell you about it, whatever, but it truly was a brutal run out for your boy JJ Q Zachariason.
I was in multiple semifinals, and I'm still in some championships, whatever. But there were 3 separate leagues where I lost by 2 or fewer points, and in each of those leagues, I had Jordan Addison. And I understand you could say, oh, you got to diversify all that. I get it. Like, I'm playing in sort of deeper formats where you're starting, 4 wide receivers or even 5 wide receivers at some point. And yeah, I mean, like I didn't want to start Jordan Addison in all those spots, but when you have deeper formats, it's just what ends up happening. One of them, I had both Jordan Addison and Dontavian Wicks, Denny. That was cool. Just basically 1, maybe 2 more catches would have won, would have been the final, but no. It was just a really, really rough week from like a variance. My good teams ended up facing Amari Cooper in multiple spots. Just one of those weeks, and I had to just let it out there and vent for a second because it was very, very tilting.
Yeah, that is super tilting. I needed 1 catch from Kittle last night to get there in 1 league, and he had that long catch to start the game, and I said, well, I'm done here.
I needed no Kittle also in a league, and it's like, well, that's done. That's over with. Like right away. You just knew. It's
a little yin and a little yang. It was fun for me. It was not fun for you.
Yeah. Well, it was also like I there were some leagues where I needed Brock Purdy to like have a monster game if I had a chance. And then, I mean, that was just devastating. That wasn't even, but it made me feel good that like he was so bad that it wouldn't have even been close. Nothing could have mattered for that to end up mattering.
Absolutely. As Charles Sword says in the comments, of all days. And I'm exhausted now. I don't know about you, Denny, but I only have this show and I have my rankings updates and then I have my sleeper show to do. And then I am done for the 2023 season. And I am very excited about it. No offense to everyone listening. No offense to patrons. It's just a long season. It's a long season. And this extra week is always tougher because this extra week didn't exist before they extended the season. Remember when we used to just be able to relax?
Just chill out between Christmas and New Year is amazing.
Oh man, thanks to Roger Goodell. We appreciate it.
And for the record, folks, I had to tell my kids that we were giving their presents back this week because of Jordan Addison. I took my daughter's bike that she got from Santa and I said, you know what, Avery? We have to give this back to Santa because Jordan Addison can't stay on the field.
Daddy lost a lot of money.
There was I said that in a league thread. It's an analyst league. And I said it in a league thread, Edwin Porras's injury invitational is what the league is. And I said it in the thread, and then Harmon responded and made some joke about how Jordan Addison can't stay on the field because he's skinny. So like the reason why my kids don't have presents is because Jordan Addison's skinny.
Yeah, he should simply gain some weight. He should have, here's some advice for Jordan Addison. Have 1 child and you instantly gain 30 pounds.
That's right. The other thing too, like before we get on to like the streamers and such, it is a really interesting dynamic and tilting fantasy football on Christmas because you're sitting there watching TV and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Right. Like you're tilting. And then you look down and your kid, it's the middle of the afternoon and your kid's like enjoying a toy that they got on Christmas. And then you're like, oh, this is so sweet. This is so fun. And then you look back up and then you're tilting again. It's just it's a roller coaster of emotion.
It is
when you have football on Christmas.
Like the majesty of Christmas. Come on, Richie James, one time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, let's move on to the final week of the season, week 17. But first, we'll recap last week. Quarterback was really good for us last week. We had Gardner Minshew ended up being a deeper play because no Michael Pittman. We had mentioned that. He had 9.1 points, so not a good outing for him. But Joe Flacco comes through with a 25-point outing. Nick Mullins had 16.5, and that's with -2 interceptions, not -1. And then Derek Carr had 25 also. So 2 very good outings for Flacco and Carr. And then Mullins was fine enough. Tight end, not great. We had Tommy DeVito as a deep play too, but that we won't talk about that. Tight end, we had K. Dotton, 1.7 as usual, got a lot of cardio. Tucker Kraft ended up getting 10 PPR points. That's all we had at tight end last week were those 2, because one of them was Hunter Henry, who didn't play.
That was kind of surprising.
A little surprising. I mean, he didn't practice on Friday, but then it was sort of like he'll be like, it didn't seem like the vibes were that bad with Henry.
No, right? I was taken aback
Yeah. I think he'll end up going this week, but I think process wise, it was great because Mike Gesicki found the end zone in that game.
Yeah, he did. He ran 3 routes and caught 1 touchdown.
Yeah. The process. Defense was actually probably the worst week of our season defensively. We had Green Bay. They had 1 point against Carolina. 1 freaking point.
Well, they're bad.
Denver had 5. Houston had 7. The Rams had 4. The Commanders also not great against a bad Jets team, had 3. Seattle had 7 and Chicago had 3. So overall, not the best defensive streaming performance, but we're gonna come back this week. We have a very shortened list than usual this week, and I think that it's gonna allow us to just destroy the fantasy championships. Do you agree?
We're ready. We're ready to completely detonate your fantasy title games.
All right, kick things off with a quarterback.
Nick Mullins, and I do want to mention that beat writers for the Vikings are saying, as we're recording, that Kevin O'Connell is reconsidering Nick Mullins as a starter, which, I mean, I don't actually believe it. I think he's just mad about that last interception in the fourth quarter. But yeah, Josh Dobbs being considered, Jaron Hall, Dante Culpepper possibly. So, watch that situation. But since Mullins took over as the Minnesota starter, he leads the entire NFL in completion rate over expected. Minnesota is 8% over its expected dropback rate in those Mullins starts. And the matchup could hardly be better. Green Bay is allowing the 5th highest dropback success rate since week 10. They are getting bludgeoned by everybody, including Bryce Young last week.
I got Derek Carr. Do you think Derek Carr is the top streamer this week? I think he's the top streamer.
I kind of thought it was Mullins. No?
You think it's Mullins? You like Mullins more than Carr?
It's close. Go ahead.
Carr's been a top 7 quarterback in back-to-back weeks. He's playing. Wow. He's playing okay. I mean, last week it was kind of scary until they kind of just turned it on, towards the end of that game against the Rams. But now he gets Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's the 9th best matchup for opposing quarterbacks by adjusted fantasy points allowed. I don't know. I think that Carr is safer. All that stuff that you just talked about with Minnesota, maybe switching quarterbacks, maybe that leash is a little short from Mullins too. And if you want to use that as a tiebreaker, maybe use that as a tiebreaker. But yeah, I mean, I think Carr to me is the top option. And while we're at it, Denny, one of the things, so I did 15 transactions today and published it. And in doing so, I like to sort of just see what others are saying in waiver columns and stuff so that I'll just Google, just see what is being written on different sites, mostly to make sure I'm speaking about players versus the market and how other people are sort of viewing them. One of the things that I was kind of shocked by was Joe Flacco was recommended in every single column. Now, I don't know if it was just like, oh, he did well, go pick him up, but he gets the Jets this week, Denny. Like, would you be playing Flacco over Mullins this week? Like, to me, I don't know how people have this confidence in Joe Flacco in that spot on Thursday night too.
Right. So I'm of two minds. One, the game, I think the Jets-Browns game has a 36-point over-under, like something horrible. The Jets secondary is probably the best in the league right now. They shut down basically everyone, but this game projects to have a ton of plays, a ton of snaps. And that's what every Browns game has, including last week's game against the Texans. And I think that can kind of continue keeping Flacco afloat as a guy who can sort of kind of get there, get away with it, I should say, just because of pure play volume. It's not a good matchup, but with Mullins, I mean, with a short leash, I might even lean Flacco. I don't know.
Here's my thing. Flacco so far has played 4 games, right, where he's thrown the ball 42 plus times in every game. Well, as you're noting, they've been pretty pass heavy. The opponent's rank in those games by adjusted fantasy points allowed has been 8, 5, 14, and 4. Okay, so he's faced 3 top matchups in terms of them being advantageous for quarterbacks, and then one of them was a top half matchup when they faced Chicago. Okay, so we're talking like Flacco's seen a fairly cakewalk schedule, since he became starter for Cleveland. And then you look at the Jets. I just don't know where the ceiling is for Flacco. Could he get 15 points? Sure. But they've only given up 2 top 10 performances this season at quarterbacks. Those 2 quarterbacks who did it were Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I mean, we're talking like the best quarterbacks in fantasy football were the only ones who were able to beat this Jets secondary in this offense. I get the storyline. I get that it's fun. You guys know that I like Flacco. it's a fun little meme that we have on the show. But if I'm just being realistic, I do not know how I can confidently trot out Joe Flacco. Like, just be objective, like, take a step back, just be objective as possible. Joe Flacco against probably the best secondary in football during championship week. It just seems like a lot to me.
It is. And I share your hesitancy on Flacco against the Jets. I will say, though, that when you combine the average offensive snaps per game with the Jets and Browns, you get the highest of the week. Week.
That's crazy.
So like he could be terrible. He could throw 3 picks, he could complete half his passes, but because he's dropping back so much, we could easily get 40 plus dropbacks again. 15 points is in the range of outcomes for sure, fantasy wise.
I see that though too, as potentially if any of you guys have like Amari or something like that, that's going to help their PPR floor a little bit. Like Amari could end the game with like a 7 for 55 line and be fine enough, in that kind of spot, in your semifinal, maybe finding the end zone, hopefully finding the end zone. And then like someone like David Njoku, not a terrible spot for him, objectively not a terrible spot for him because they've actually not been that great against the tight end position. But, with Flacco, I don't know. I'm going to be lower than consensus this week. You would say Mullins or Flacco over Mullins?
I'd have to kind of read more into what Kevin O'Connell's talking about because it just, we've seen this play out before where a backup struggles a little bit. And I mean, Mullins was pretty good except for that last interception, right? Against he
at least is not playing. Like the problem with Josh Dobbs, I thought, was that he got very scared and he wasn't playing loose, right? And it's very clear that O'Connell just wants like someone who's, quote, managing the game, right? Who's not making these big mistakes.
Yes.
And so anytime the result is a mistake, he's going to get upset. But it's like, dude, look at your quarterback roster. What do you expect is going to happen?
And if Josh Dobbs starts, guys, it is real bad for every pass catcher in that offense. So.
Yeah. Also, we should note with Nick Mullins that he's not going to have TJ Hawkinson, who just came out. He has a torn MCL and ACL, which is bad news. Jordan Addison is iffy. It sounds like his ankle injury, they're more optimistic about it than maybe when it initially happened. But Jordan Addison's iffy. So you're looking at Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne, and then, Josh Oliver's their backup.
No, Johnny Munt.
Yeah, Johnny Munt. I mean, like it's not a great situation outside of Justin Jefferson. So maybe that's another reason. Maybe you would lean a Flacco over a Mullins, but I think Derek Carr is better than both. That's my opinion right now.
Yeah, I will not go to the mat against you on that.
Yeah. All right, we got one more quarterback though. This is the only show in the fantasy football space that will talk about Nick Mullins for 7 minutes.
I could talk. You want 30 minutes?
You want to just go? You want to keep going? We'll just keep going and talk about Nick Mullins. Let's do it. Yeah.
So I'm. This is a deeper play. I'm really a little queasy about Gardner Minshew against the Raiders because, man, the Raiders, I'm not going to bore you with the geeky measurements, but by almost every measurement have been a really good top 5 defense, especially against the pass in recent weeks. So I'm not really bullish on Minshew, but I guess you play him in like super flex. The dog levels for the Raiders are off the dang charts right now. Antonio Pierce telling his guys to, squeeze the necks of the Chiefs.
He's a Dan Campbell type.
But he leans into the Raiders aesthetic. He's like a Raiders dude.
Yes.
And I, by the way, I really like him. I hope he does well. I think he's going to get the job, rightfully so, full-time job. I don't really want to play against these Raiders right now. So I think Minshew is at the bottom of the barrel as far as streaming.
Yeah, I think you're right. We have to just recognize that Vegas is playing really well defensively. And look, Vegas has some pieces defensively too. It's not like this is like they've just had this like crazy motivation and they're playing, well under Pierce. They have like decent enough personnel that it makes some sense as to why they're playing the way they're playing. It's also, I always just love whenever you get like, even like D'Amico Ryans, like these guys that like we watched, like we're that old now that we watch these play. Like I used to do that in Madden back in the day where I would be doing franchise mode and I would get my coach fired so that I could bring on, or I would fire my coach so I could bring on a retired player like a Reggie Wayne or something like that. Yeah, I used to do that all the time. And now it's just literally real life. We're seeing it happen kind of frequently, or at least more frequently.
Well, Chad Pennington's kid played against Josh McCown's kid the other day in a bowl game.
Yeah, wild.
What in the hell is going
Yeah.
on?
Although I know that I'm saying that it's happening more frequently and it's always happened. It's just that this is our generation that it's happening with.
Right. No, it's never happened to me. That's the
Yeah.
point.
And here's the other, like, I don't even care. Like, there's so many older coaches that like played, but they played when like their opponents were the size of me and you. Like, they didn't play when like it was like the NFL today, you know, where things were like they played when their linebackers weighed 180 pounds. Like, come on.
Oh wow. Oh, you're calling them plumbers. You're going to the plumber route, huh?
I'm just saying that today's era, isn't this the same argument that people always use with LeBron versus MJ? That the era. Are you an MJ or LeBron guy?
MJ for sure.
You're just, like, for sure MJ, because I'm like a 50-50. I could go either way.
No, I'm a full on Jordan was way better truther.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that tilted at all by like the way that they handled themselves off the court?
It's purely emotional.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
You know, it's just me growing up with it and
Yeah.
enjoying it more. I also think the fact that like teams were able to and even encouraged to destroy Jordan physically.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you know, you put LeBron against the Lambeer Rodman Pistons, and he would retire the next day.
Yeah. I think LeBron's a much more impressive physical specimen, given how long he's been doing this and that he's still doing what he's doing. And Jordan just had that dog. He had that dog.
He has God, he was. I mean, he made Brady. He made Tom Brady look like casual.
Yeah.
Like Jordan, you knew he would like eat someone if he had to. Like he was just in it to destroy everyone, including his own teammates. I mean, the guy humiliated publicly his own teammates constantly.
Yeah.
You know, horrible person. But he got the job done.
He did. Before I get to the tight ends, I got to share with you guys my favorite Christmas present this year. It's from my daughter. She picked it out herself. It's a mug, and it's a Super Daddy-O mug with the Super Mario logo.
Cool.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
I'm very jealous. Wow.
All right, let's get to the tight ends. We're going to go back to Tucker Kraft. He gets Minnesota this week. He's had 10 plus PPR points in 3 straight games. Route participation without Luke Musgrave has been great. He's had at least an 80% route participation in 4 of his last 5. Look at the Packers wide receivers, man. They're banged up. I mean, Jayden Reed didn't play last week. I think Jayden Reed's probably going to go this week just because he was he's like seemed close-ish last week. I know that he didn't practice on Friday, but it wasn't it really weird how it seemed like all the reporting was around Dontavian Wicks last week and like how he's the next Devontae Adams and stuff, and how like and then Jayden Reed is just sitting there not practicing, and there's all the reports like, oh, Christian Watson is out, oh, Dontavian Wicks is going to play and you better have him in your fantasy lineup, and Jayden Reed just sitting there like balling out this year, and he misses Friday's practice, and we're all just waiting to see if he plays. He didn't go, but all 3 of those guys, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Jayden Reed, banged up. That could funnel more targets to Tucker Kraft. So I do like Kraft.
Yeah. You're really going to mess me up with this Tucker Kraft thing. Well, you know, the reason the Reed thing was different because the national guys had heard of Jayden Reed 15 minutes ago. So
right.
He's all we've talked about for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
It's all you've talked about since the summer. So, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Chig Okonkwo against Houston. So the Titans play Houston for the 7th time in 9 weeks.
It feels like every weig there's a Titans Texans game.
Yeah,
every week.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, the Chig, the kids are calling him Chig, has at least 5 targets in 4 of the past 5 games. He has that going for him. Last week, he ran 28 routes on 34 dropbacks, running 60% from the slot, folks. You could do worse.
Yeah, I like Okonkwo. He's been doing a lot better the second half of the season. I also love Gerald Everett. I know that Easton Stick is playing quarterback, but the last 2 weeks, he hasn't had Donald Parham or Keenan Allen in the lineup. And over those 2 games, he's hit a 25% target share in back-to-back games in both of them. He's had great route participation, and then he gets Denver, and Denver's been the best matchup by adjusted fantasy points allowed. You're a grammar journalist, bro. Do you hate when people say the best matchup? Because it's not really, isn't it not like correct to really say that? Like it's not, you can't really emphasize the word the like that, can you?
The best matchup. No, I think that
Is it okay? Because I do it in
Yeah.
my writing, and I will italicize the word "the" like whenever I'm writing about it, because people say it conversationally, and I write conversationally.
Yeah, no. I mean, I can't think of any like hard and fast rule.
Yeah, you wouldn't be
Hey,
mad if you saw that in like the newspaper.
I would not tell the newspaper I'm mad. That's for
Yeah,
sure. But
you're right.
yeah, right. Casey Cheney in the comments says if it's italicized, it's fine, and
Yeah.
that's probably the
Okay,
case.
that's
So
good.
I actually thought I'm sorry. I thought I had Everett's, but I don't. I don't. You have Everett. I did want to say though, Everett since the Easton Stick takeover. Good grief, that was hard to say.
Wow, you want to try that one again?
Since the Easton Stick takeover,
There we go.
Gerald Everett leads the team in first read targets, so he has that going.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. All right, defense. Let's get through them quick. We got 4 of them. You want to kick it off?
Yes. So I have the Jags against the Carolina Panthers. I don't really love this too much because maybe the Panthers have discovered a way to not totally suck on offense last week against the Packers, and also the Jags defense has been a little bit vulnerable. But I truly do think that Bryce Young is kind of a walking turnover. So I think you can stream them with some confidence that this will be an ugly kind of low scoring game.
Yeah. By the way, Daniel Kitchen in chat, whenever I showed the Super Daddy-O mug, he said Denny bought a Super Daddy-O mug for Mike Davis, just so everyone's aware.
It's messed up, bro.
I'm going to go with the Rams against the Giants. This one's pretty much a process play. They're 6.5-point road favorites. The Giants are dead last in sack rate allowed. I'd say they have a sack-based floor.
There you go.
Okay. Go ahead. Next one.
The Colts. I have the Colts against the. You could tell I really grinded the data here. Colts against the Raiders. So even though the Raiders have, they beat the Chiefs, they're on this hot run. They've been like Aiden O'Connell, except for that Chargers game, has been miserable, like really bad, very inaccurate. One of the 5 least accurate quarterbacks in the league over the past month. Look at this last week, JJ. Against the Chiefs, the Raiders lost 4.45 expected points every time O'Connell dropped back.
That's crazy.
Insane.
And they didn't have a single passing yard after the first quarter.
I mean, yes, right. What did they have? 80?
They had 64 first quarter passing yards, and they had 0 the rest of the game. I won a fantasy matchup because I was facing both Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams.
Oof. That's a big oof.
The only thing that went right for me last week.
So O'Connell's bad. So I do think that if the Raiders, kind of fall behind, that the Colts could be interesting.
Yeah, I didn't realize this, so we're adding it right now on the show. But the Raiders are still out there in a lot of leagues, so you can go with the Raiders as like a very, very good play this week against Indy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the Raiders. I'm just looking at their since week 8. I'm going to read off their finishes in defensive scoring: 2nd, 4th, 6th, 10th, 29th. That was a game against the Chiefs. 5th, 1st, and 1st. They're dominating defensively in fantasy. So you can definitely go with the Raiders against Indianapolis, a team that is relatively advantageous for opposing defenses. But I'm going to also one defense, Denny, that I'm definitely higher on than consensus because I did my rankings this week, and I always compare my rankings after the fact to what consensus is saying. The Houston Texans, they are ranked like in the teens in a lot of spots, at least with Fantasy Pros consensus. And I have them as like a top 10 defense this week. I think they're in a really good spot against Tennessee. Tennessee has a lot of top 10 defensive performance in 4 straight games. They've allowed 6+ sacks in 3 of those 4.
Wow.
I mean, we can say, oh, we don't know if Will Levis is going to play. I don't care if Will Levis goes or not. They're going to take a lot of sacks, and the Texans are top 5 in pressure rate this season. So I think that the Texans are very interesting this week.
Yeah, no, I do like Houston. Do we have any more? Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's all we got. All right, I'm going to recap.
I did want to mention real quick about the Raiders. Oh yeah, Gardner Minshew, fourth in turnover worthy plays per PFF.
There we go.
Okay.
To recap, we got the Rams, Texans, Jags, Raiders, and Colts. We got Gerald Everett, Chigakonkwo, and Tucker Traft. And then we have Nick Mullins, Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr. And then if you want to, you could go Flacco. You could. I think that Carr is probably the cleanest play though of that group.
That's a good way to put it. Clean. The Flacco thing, he could get there in a very ugly way.
Yes. A very ugly way. All right. But he's going to look pretty while doing it.
Well, yeah, because he looks exactly like you're a pretty mug.
Thank you, Denny. All right, let's get to Twitter. First question is from @2HighSafeties. It says, what's worse, gifting a luxury SUV at Christmas to your spouse or the Falcons' utilization of day one draft picks?
Well, the first thing is probably nice if you can afford it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the idea of how insane giving an SUV on Christmas is. Like, have you ever met anyone who's actually done that before? No, I haven't.
I have not.
I guess I don't have rich enough friends to say that. I mean, not all of them have a third rack in their dishwasher.
Right. You could trade in that dishwasher for a brand new Escalade, though.
Yeah, people do forget about that. Do you think Arthur Smith is done after this year?
No,
I do.
No.
I
I think he's going to be the coach long term there. I think he's a great salesman. I think he can sell himself as like the salvation of the franchise. Everybody in this offense is going to be in hell forever. That's my opinion.
I think they need to win the division for him to stay, and they're not going to.
They're not going to do that. No.
Yeah. Next question. This is from @C2C1997. Since this is a fart pod, this is a fart podcast. I've never heard it described as a fart podcast. It's always been like a bathroom podcast or poop podcast. Fart podcast. Which is more embarrassing in a small space with others around? Think Office Space. A loud butt clapper or silent but deadly smelly toot? What's worse? I think a loud butt clapper has to be worse when you're in an environment like that, because then everyone knows what's going on. But if you have a silent but deadly smelly toot, as you say, people don't know if it was you or not. People don't always know.
Obviously, it's the loud one. The loud fart is way worse.
Yeah, you don't want people like looking at you. It is interesting that people look at farts the way that they do, as if like not everyone does it. You know, like why are farts frowned upon the way they're frowned upon? In my America, farts, everyone will fart, and everyone will have a megaphone for when they fart to just stick that right by their butt.
No shame. You think there won't be stigma around passing the gas?
None. Why should there be? Denny? Everyone does it.
It's natural.
It's very natural.
It's natural. I haven't farted since COVID, per the CDC, but
I saw a TikTok today of this girl who's probably like our age, maybe younger, but she puts a presentation together. Wait, so there's someone who says. There's someone, Charles in chat says, if you're a husky guy and this happens to you, play the victim that everyone blames the fat guy. It works most of the time. That's what Charles said.
Why are you guys looking at me?
Yeah, why are you going to look at me? But there's this girl who put together, I guess she does it every year. She puts a presentation together about her poops that year and says how frequently she pooped. She has pie charts of like the consistency of it, the color. It's insane. It's very, very funny though. It's my kind of humor.
I mean, you do as at a certain age. I do think that you start tracking your bowel movements in some way, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm very into my. If you're in your 30s and you're not looking down when you go number 2, you have to look at what's going on now. It's very important to see what your GI tract is doing.
You gotta look. You just gotta look. You can't just flush. But when you have kids, I mean, and you gotta look. I mean, you gotta study that shit. Sorry to the kids, but
no, you do.
I mean, literally, you have to like. It's too hard. It's too soft. It's weird colored. Whatever. You have to.
I had a hot girlfriend. Daiquiri man says, who used to take weekly dumps once a week. It sounds like.
Wow, it must have been awful.
That would be terrible. That'd be terrible. I am always jealous of my kids' dumps though. They're always just like, it's so perfect. Like they haven't gone through years of bad eating and drinking alcohol and destroying their intestines, and it's just coming out great. I'm very jealous of that.
Nothing worse than the hangover dump. I mean,
nothing.
Honestly,
nothing. Yeah, on January 1st, when we're all hungover, let's think of each other. Well,
I mean, it's just like at that point, you're like, I hate myself.
Yeah. Oh, they're horrible. Next question is from @Didymus. He says, I know Denny will die on the hill that the Packers would have won at least 12 more Super Bowls if they had a dome stadium. What is your most unhinged but low-key, probably true sports take, late round QB? I think that I don't know, it'd have to probably be quarterback driven, right? Because a lot of takes in football that are strong would have to be that way. My take is probably that Tony Romo is a top 20 quarterback of all time.
Whoa.
That's my take. That's the hill I'll die on.
I am so tilted. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's my take. That's my take. Look, I've been a Romo apologist, and then I was a Dak apologist. And look, Dak's coming through this year. Dak's gonna win the Super Bowl this year, baby. It's happening. Let's do it.
The Cowboys did not have their requisite dog levels, I don't think. But Dak is better than Romo ever was.
Nah, Romo was so underrated. People forget how good Tony Romo was. Oh, here's actually a hill that I'll die on. This is a better hill to die on. Another quarterback take. Brett Favre is the most overrated quarterback of all time.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, right.
He's
Brett
terrible.
Favre was insanely overrated.
He was terrible for most of his time in Green Bay. He was horrible. There were games you would watch where it would be like, oh, there's Favre's third pick. And you knew in your heart of hearts that should have been his 7th interception of the day.
Yeah. Brett Favre was, if we had PFF back then, Brett Favre would be like Sam Darnold. I mean, he would be horrible.
Legit, just not good. Just not good.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Turnover-worthy plays, if they were a thing then, I'm sure someone's going to come at me and say that there are stats from 1999 showing turnover-worthy play, or 2003 showing turnover-worthy plays. But Brett Favre, I will die on this hill that he is insanely overrated. Insanely overrated.
Here's the hill I'll die on. Sam Darnold is way better than Brock Purdy. All right,
wow.
we can move on.
Yeah, are you a Purdy hater? Is that what's going on?
It's just like very clear that he's like the perfect avatar for Shanahan and nothing more.
Yeah.
He doesn't do like Darnold is way, you put Darnold in there, this team is better. I'm telling you, they're better with Darnold under center.
I think Purdy's good. I'm in that camp. I do think Purdy's good.
There was a 49ers beat writer, Matt Maiocco from NBC, who said that Darnold was the most talented, had the most arm talent of any 49ers quarterback ever.
Yeah, I remember that. That was in the summer, right?
Ever. And I was like, that's crazy. And then he came in last night, and I was like, oh, I see it. I actually do see it.
Oh, come on! So you're gonna use the final 5 minutes of a game that's a blowout and say that Sam Darnold's better? Is that what's going on here?
What am I going Darnold over Montana? Maybe.
I think Purdy is good, and I think he's gonna destroy Washington this week, which says so much about a quarterback when they're able to do that.
I you know what, the Niners are so gonna win this game so easily. They should just start Darnold.
Wow,
just start Darnold.
Yeah, that'll do wonders to Brock Purdy's confidence.
Yeah, right. Start Darnold. He's gonna go for 280 and 4 touchdowns, and then it's gonna really the industrial complex will really take off.
I am so I've never seen it quite like this season, with just the back and forth, the boomeranging of takes week in and week out. It is out of there was an Emmanuel Acho. Did you see this that's going around right now?
Oh, that was so
I know
bad.
that he in particular is someone who does this more. I mean, he's one of the most obnoxious, and I'm fine to say this. I don't really care. He's one of the most obnoxious analysts that I've ever seen on television. Him and LaShawn McCoy just says things that there's no substance to it. He just starts shouting things and just starts saying things. And then you get like someone who's thoughtful, like a Ryan Clark or something. And like there's good analysts out there. It's just that my gosh. But anyway, Emmanuel Acho comes out and he's like, I guess a couple weeks ago, he said, we need to have a conversation about, Jalen Hurts.
Lamar, right? I thought
no, it was, we need to have a conversation about Jalen Hurts because he was playing bad, right? They're on this losing streak and he's not playing that well. And then last night he says, we need to have a conversation about Brock Purdy, which is telling us that we need to talk about him not being as good as people think, right? Well, literally before the game, Denny, there is, he's on set talking about how Brock Purdy is better than Lamar Jackson and how Brock Purdy is amazing and how he's doing X, Y, blah, 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 blah. And he's going through all of these statistics about why Brock Purdy is so good. And then after one game, he just flips that script and he says, we need to have a conversation about Brock Purdy. It's just so tiring. How does anyone consume that content?
They do. And it is, he is among the most intellectually dishonest football analysts. Like he believes that everybody has the memory of a minnow, and that you don't recall like anything he said the previous day. It's hugely insulting. Yeah.
I'm really sick of it. And again, there are some former players who are amazing analysts and they're doing good for the game, but there's a lot of former players who just say things and they think that just because they were a former player, they know more than. I'm not even going to go down the Dez Bryant route and all that stuff that happened this week with Dez, but like they think that they just know more than other people because they played, and their takes are horrific. They're just bad takes.
So look, I know that there's this belief that you have to have played the game in order to analyze it. I would say that playing the game disqualifies you from analyzing the game. That if you play the game, don't analyze the game. You should just not do that, because everything you say is tainted by your biases from your playing days. Like, there's no way that Ryan Clark or whoever can look at the Steelers objectively. They just can't. And I couldn't either. Listen, if I gave my heart and soul to a franchise for years and years and years, and then was said, and then said, well, you're an analyst now, you have to talk about it objectively, I would say I can't do that.
Yeah. All right, next question. Another one from Didymus. Denny wearing holiday tree glasses made me think, at what age should people stop wearing gimmicky spectacles? My 5-year-old went with me to the optometrist and she chose glasses made from old AC/DC vinyls. I couldn't say no. Now I feel like glasses are my thing and I don't even like AC/DC.
That's funny. That last part is really good. Because let's be honest, AC/DC is the worst band ever.
Wow. First the Brock Purdy slander, and now this. Man.
Come on. AC/DC is one of those bands where if I'm listening to the radio, and yes, sometimes I listen to the radio, and they come on, I will angrily change the channel. No, yeah. I don't care what song it is.
But AC/DC to me is more of a nostalgic, I'm at a Steelers tailgate kind of vibe, right? Like it's a blue collar tailgate band. Yeah, is the way that I grew up with AC/DC.
For me,
so that's the only reason why I would ever feel negative about your take. It's not like I'm sitting here listening to AC/DC on Spotify.
No, you don't have your AC/DC mix. The music I find just totally objectionable on like old guy radio. AC/DC, solo Ozzy Osbourne, not Black Sabbath, obviously.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some others, but yeah, those two jump out as Phil Collins. Anything by Phil Collins, get it out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was with you until that take.
Come on, Phil Collins is the worst of all time.
Phil Collins is awesome.
Oh man,
is it all Phil? Like, are you talking Genesis also, or just solo Phil?
Yes, you throw in Genesis with it.
You don't like Genesis?
No.
This is actually kind of I'm a little surprised by it, because they're very much like, you like 80s music.
I know. I should. No. Yeah,
you should like Genesis.
I should love Genesis. I should have a Phil Collins poster in my office, but I don't.
This is kind of shocking to me. I love Phil Collins. I think Phil Collins is great.
So here's the Phil Collins made music according to what he thought people wanted to hear, and I reject that completely.
Yeah,
he's not the only one.
Here's another thing. Have you heard about when people listen to music? There are people who really, really listen to music just for the lyrics, and there are people who listen to the music and the lyrics are just like another instrument, right? The voice is another instrument. I'm actually the latter.
Okay.
I hear lyrics as more of an instrument than the actual. That's why I resonate more with like a Genesis, because they've always they created fun music, like good, interesting music. Right.
I can hear it and say I get the appeal. I do.
Yes. Right.
I just don't like it. And by the way, Eric says, "Do I hate In the Air Tonight?" Which is the Phil Collins song that's on.
You can't hate, and if you hate In the Air Tonight, I might log off.
And no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Okay. Is it played out? Yeah. is it the fact that it's played like before the NBA finals all the time and stuff? Like, does that get old? It gets old.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I think that's fair, but In the Air Tonight's good. I mean, like as played out as the drum solo is, like, it's still good.
It is. I used to love it as a kid. In the Air Tonight, it was one of those things where it would come on and I would tell everybody in the car, shut up. You just got to shut your mouth for 4 minutes and 25 seconds while I listen to In the Air Tonight.
Right.
But now I'm not into it as much. Yeah, Phil Collins for me is bottom tier. Yeah.
Is it his voice? Is it the lyrics? Is it what is it?
What is it? I feel like I said, the music that he makes and the lyrics that he writes are like you're supposed to like this. Like, hey, you're this is for you, Denny. And I'm like, no, it's not. Don't tell me what to like, Phil Collins.
So it's too on the nose.
It is. It's too much. I want to be talked to. Talked down to by artists. I want to be kicked in the teeth by musicians that I like. I want them to say things that I find so indecipherable that I have to look it up myself.
Okay. I got you.
I'm a snob, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Next question at Justin White VA. When I need a good recharge, I always head to the garage to paint for hours. That's cool. What's the first thing you're going to do to recharge when week 17 is over?
I'm gonna go to a virtual golf place where you hit the ball into the screen.
Yeah,
there's one nearby, and I've been meaning to go, and that looks fun as hell.
Yeah, my wife's uncle has a simulator at his house that we went to, and it was so fun. It's amazing, so much fun. I'm gonna play video games. I haven't gamed in a while. We had CJ join our family, and then football ends up hitting. And I just haven't been able to play that much. And I miss gaming with the boys, just hanging out, talking to my buddies and just shooting the S. I'm just very, very much looking forward to gaming a little bit more. Next question at Stairway to Evan 17. After Christmas/New Year's, the football season feels unbearably long. How do you cope toward the end of the season after grinding all year? How do you cope? Look, Denny and I right now are beyond, we need refueled at this point. I mean, we are dead inside.
I'm so tired.
So tired. So again, it's just the monotony of everything. It's not the like interacting with people stuff. Like, you guys always see the end result of the content that we create, right? Like, you see us on live streams or doing shows and stuff like that. That's the easiest part. Like, you're done and you're just letting that all out. I always say to myself too, like with the Late Round podcast, since I do it solo, I know what I'm going to be saying on that show. And, there's no back and forth. So there's no surprise, like Denny saying that Phil Collins sucks, where I have to come up with something on the fly. But when it's just me doing a solo show, once I'm done with my notes, I just want it to be done. I don't even want to record it. I don't want to I just want it to be done because I did the stuff that matters already, but then you got to record it and you got to push it out and do all that kind of stuff. I still enjoy it to some degree, but there's just a lot of monotony this time of year, man. There's just so much monotony.
I got to write the regression files for NBCsports.com, and brother, I am struggling. I mean, you're finding regression candidates this time of year.
That is pretty tough.
It's difficult.
Next question. Tilt to Buddhism. It's at Tilt to Buddhism. My wife asked an advice columnist whether she should be concerned about her husband spending more time listening to fantasy football podcasts than acknowledging his kid's existence. Whatevs. Have y'all ever written to an advice columnist before?
I haven't, but JJ, I'm sure you remember I wrote for the New York Times a number of years ago about like being so obsessed with fantasy football that it was like frightening me. And I think it was 2014.
You interviewed me for that.
I did. I interviewed you. You had a great quote in there. So I know where you're coming from, but I've never written to an advice columnist.
No. Do you think, are we considering the Q&A here? You guys submitting some stuff to someone giving you advice? Yeah. Are we not advice columnists here?
I mean, yeah, we will give you our half-baked advice for sure. No
That's
problem.
right. That's right. Didymus has another question. How many eggnogs can JJ suck down in one sitting? If he doesn't say at least 6, then he lies like Arthur Smith. My answer is 0 because eggnog is not dairy-free.
It
folks.
sounds extremely not dairy-free.
Yes, it's the least dairy-free thing that I can consume. So no, I don't suck down any eggnog. I don't really I don't go the eggnog. I haven't had eggnog in probably 10 years.
Bro, it's gross. That's why.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty gross. I could do maybe I could do like a coconut milk eggnog or something like that, but I really don't have any desire to even do that.
Do you wait? What alcohol do people put in eggnog?
I don't know. Good question.
Whiskey? I don't know. Anyway,
it feels like it would be a clear. Someone will answer it for
I mean,
us.
I've if I had 2 boozy eggnogs, I would be vomiting all over myself.
Well, you also have a thing with
I have trauma.
Yeah, right.
I have trauma over White Russians. Actually, a listener of the show, said that they were in Baltimore recently, and they DM'd me on X and said, "Hey, anywhere to get good White Russians?" And thought that was a pretty good burn.
Yeah. So folks are saying whiskey or rum. I saw brandy whenever I Googled it. So just that sort of category.
Oh yeah, rum is probably what I had. Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. At 2 high safeties, bar games, darts, shuffleboard, pop-a-shot. Who takes home the trophy?
Well, you know what? I don't have that dog in me anymore. Like I don't care, and so JJ would win.
This is the type B coming out. See, I still am extremely competitive to the point where like I'm depressed about the fantasy football results of those 3 semifinals that I was talking about.
I mean, I want to win, but I do not. I used to have so many dogs in me, and we would have like fought over Pop-A-Shot.
Yeah.
But now I would do my best. I would give it my all, and you would beat me, and I would say, what can you do?
Yeah, and then I would be, but I see. It's not fun when the other person doesn't care. It's only good. It's only fun whenever you win when the other person cares.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, me and my brother-in-law used to compete so hard at everything. I'm talking like basketball, racquetball, mini golf. Okay, I mean, you name it. Oh, Mario Kart. I mean, we actually would like stop talking over Mario Kart.
Wow.
And anyway. I don't compete anymore. I don't care about competing. So he's like, I don't want to play you in anything anymore. You don't get mad.
Yeah. I would not want to compete with you either.
Yeah, no, I just don't care. I just truly don't care.
Do you know that there's a world? This is totally unrelated, but you mentioned Mario Kart. Okay. You know, there's a big world out there of speed run folks.
I do.
Who try to speed run games. And there's I came across one. There's a person who does like documentaries, and he might be big in this speedrunning gaming space that I just, don't know the name. But I found a sort of documentary type deal on the Mario Kart 64. Did you play Mario Kart 64? Is that what you're referencing here?
Yes.
Okay. So Mario Kart 64 speedruns are a thing. And, they'll go through the whole entire game. Whether they're 16 courses or whatever. They'll go through the whole game and try to do it as fast as they can. And you can cheat. You can look at the glitches, and you can like the Wario Stadium one where you jump over and then you can jump back, like doing that stuff. Well, everyone thought that they had found all the glitches. And this one guy was so much better than everyone else. He's like 2 minutes faster than every other Mario Kart speedrunner. And randomly he was streaming one day, and randomly on his Discord, someone goes, I found a new cheat. I found a new hack, like a new glitch. And they found one on Royal Raceway. Remember Royal Raceway, where there was like that giant jump by the castle?
Right. Okay.
So someone had found a glitch where you basically like go backwards, and you have to be in this one particular spot, and then blah, 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 blah. And it completely changed speedrunning in Mario Kart 64. Because
really?
And it was just some random dude on Discord just being like, hey, like I always want to be that guy where I have something so important like that, and I just give it away anonymously. Like you just go online and you're like, I found this thing that I could probably make money on or get a lot of credit for, but no, I'm just some random username on Discord, and I'm just going to show you this thing.
What's the cheat on Rainbow Road is right off the start.
You can go left.
You go left and jump.
Yeah, there's another one though that's even more insane that I could never pull off that I saw on this documentary.
Right. It's really tough. Really tough. Like, I mean, you're launched into the depths of deep space. I don't know, 4 times out of 5.
And then you always then often you'll even like bounce off and fall back into space after hitting the track.
The bounce off was devastating. But honestly, there are very few feelings that are better than nailing that one, especially if you're behind and you got to go for it. Like if you've run bad, had some bad luck, and you're like, I got to do it. It's now or never, and you do it and you hit it. Oh baby, that gets you going. I mean, not that I care, but still.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently Mario Kart 64 will get you going and caring about competition. Still.
I mean, I recall what it was like.
Okay. All right, Denny, that's going to do it for today's show and week 17. And the next time we talk, it'll be the DGAF episode. I don't know if we'll do it next week or if we'll just do it into January like we sometimes do.
Yeah, we'll see.
But why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
At CD Carter 13 on the X platform and Threads. We're talking about stuff on Threads, folks. In fact, people are super mad at me on Threads for saying that 2 high safeties are ruining the game of football. So check that out. And you can find all my work, including the regression files, on NBCsports.com.
I'm on Twitter at LateRoundQB. You can check out all my stuff over on LateRound.com. Denny, I'm too tired to get milkshakes this week. I'm just gonna watch some TV with the fam, hang out.
I will take one dad nap.
Yes, good idea. Thanks for listening, everyone. We greatly appreciate it. As always, good luck in the championship weeks, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to Living the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the Internet Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live in the stream.